Imagine waking up on a cold, misty morning more than 10,000 years ago. You're part of a small band of hunter-gatherers, what we today call cavemen. There's no grocery store down the hill, no farmer's market at midday, and certainly no refrigerator to keep your food fresh. Instead, you have two simple tools: your instincts and whatever you can carry on your back. Life revolves entirely around finding your next meal. You've slept on a bed of animal skins near a crackling fire that someone kept alive all night. As the embers glow and the birds begin to call, you pull on a bit of tanned hide for clothing, rub ashes into your hair to keep insects away, and step out into a world that's equal parts beautiful and brutal. Your stomach growls. It's been nearly 12 hours since you last ate, a day of foraging and light snacking on berries that barely filled your belly. Today, the hunt begins in earnest. First, you scan the horizon for signs of movement, a flicker of brown in the tall grass, a distant plume of dust that marks a herd of grazing animals, or the flash of feathers in a nearby tree. These could mean food, or they could mean danger. A misstep might land you face to face with a predator like a dire wolf or a saber-toothed cat. By mid-morning, your group splits up to cover more ground. A few members stay close to camp, striking flint to prepare simple stone tools and watching over the fire. The rest head out with spears tipped in sharpened bone or flint. Every step you take is deliberate, every breath measured so you don't give away your position. The grass that brushes your legs may look harmless, but it could hide a thorn that tears through your skin or a nest of venomous snakes. You pause often, leaning on your spear to steady yourself as you listen, ears straining for the faintest rustle. Around noon, your search leads you to a shallow stream. The water is clear and cold, full of small fish darting between stones. Catching these requires quick hands and a steady aim. You crouch, slip your spear beneath the surface, and thrust hard. The water shimmers as the fish glint in the sunlight, and for a fleeting second, time seems to slow, but you miss. The fish dart away, and you're left holding an empty spear. Your stomach growls again, louder this time, as if reminding you how little room there is for error in this world. At home, you meant to gather some edible plants too. Wild onions, edible roots, perhaps a handful of nuts from the trees above. But each time you bend to dig or pluck, you risk standing out in silhouette, drawing unwanted attention. Late afternoon brings heat. The sun beats down on you mercilessly. In this wide-open plain, there is little shade. You find a small copse of trees and rest beneath the branches. Around you, other members of your group share similar tales of near misses. Spears thrown just a foot too short, roots that turned out bitter or even toxic, berries that looked ripe but burned your throat. As the sun begins its descent, you realize you've spent nearly 12 hours foraging and hunting, and your group has only a handful of small fish and some tough roots to show for it. Back at camp, the fire has dwindled to glowing embers. Smoke curls low in the evening air, and a few embers pop as the last bit of wood sizzles. Everyone gathers around, shoulders hunched, faces drawn. Sharing whatever scraps you manage to find is a solemn ritual. Each piece of food represents hours of struggle and the very real possibility of going hungry. Someone claws at a dried slab of meat hunted days earlier, trying to soften it between hot stones. Another person carefully tosses in a handful of roots. Some are edible, others burn the tongue, hoping this mix will fill bellies enough to last through the night. You eat slowly, chewing each bite until it's almost powder, because a partially digested meal sticks with you longer. By firelight, faces glow red and orange. Stories are told in low voices, tales of successful hunts long past, of nights when the rains came and spoiled all your hidden supplies, of the time a wild cat tore through camp. These shared memories bind your group together. In this world of scarcity, cooperation can mean the difference between life and death. When the last crumbs are gone, you lean back against a log, eyes fixed on the darkening sky. Stars begin to appear, unimaginably bright, without city lights to drown them out. Constellations you will learn to recognize blaze overhead, each one tied to a story or a seasonal marker. As you drift towards sleep, the pangs in your stomach ache in rhythm with your heart. Tomorrow, you'll wake and do it all over again. Hunt, search, struggle, share. There's no guarantee you'll find enough food. Some days you might spend all your energy and still go to bed hungry. But for now, despite the emptiness in your belly, you feel a fierce pride. You belong to this world. You are its survivor. And that, dear listener, is why, if you were transported back to that age without warning, you might literally starve waiting for dinner. As the sun climbs higher on this ancient landscape, our small band of hunter-gatherers shifts focus from tracking animals to harvesting the bounty of the earth. Foraging isn't random. It's a science born of generations of trial and error, observation, and painful lessons. Every plant, root, berry, or nut you see holds either nourishment or danger. You begin by scanning the forest floor and underbrush for familiar shapes. The clustered leaves of wild onions, arching fronds of fiddlehead ferns, or the distinctive silhouette of cattail shoots near water. These plants are your safest bets, established staples in your people's diet. You kneel on damp soil, breathe in the earthy scent, and gently tease the plant free, roots and all. Digging out a clump of wild onions yields a sharp, pungent flavor that goes straight to your gut, holding you over until evening. Up on the rocky slope, you spot a patch of berry bushes. Their bright red fruits promise quick sugar, but you proceed cautiously. Generations ago, someone ate the wrong berry and taught the clan a grim lesson. You pick one and rub it. No blue-black stain on your hands, no sticky juice. You taste a single berry, wait a moment for any burning or numbness, then nod. It's safe. Quickly, you gather a handful, tucking them into a woven pouch pressed against your chest to keep them cool. Some plants require more than a visual test. The roots of wild yams and cattails must be peeled and boiled in clay vessels, heated by hot stones. You watch as steam rises and the water turns murky, stripping away bitter, toxic compounds. Once soft, the roots mash into a paste that feels heavy in your stomach, far from a feast, but a critical source of calories when game is scarce. Familiarity with seasons guides your efforts. In early spring, your people target young shoots of skunk cabbage and ramps before they turn fibrous. Summer brings an abundance of berries, blackberries, raspberries, and gooseberries, which you dry on animal hides draped over low branches, preserving them for leaner months. In autumn, nut gathering becomes your main task. You crack open acorns and walnuts, leaching acorns in running water to remove bitter tannins, then crushing them into a coarse flour to bake into flat cakes. But not every plant is safe. A misstep among hemlock or water hemlock could end your life within hours. You avoid white flowers arranged in umbrella shapes, heed the warnings of elders who know these are often the deadliest. Instead, you look for more distinctive blooms, deep purple cousins of wild thistles that signal edible species, or clusters of yellow flowers indicating stone parsley, a reliable carbohydrate source. Your group divides tasks. The nimblest gather berries and tender shoots. Children pick low-hanging fruit under adult supervision, and the strongest carry heavy bags of nuts and roots back to camp. Scouts are sent to known berry patches and nut groves, tracking fallen fruits by the broken twigs and disturbed soil. They mark these spots with small stone cairns, ensuring return trips won't end in empty hands. Sometimes, when food is scarce near the base camp, foragers trek miles to distant valleys, rumored to hold wild grains like barley or millet. Grinding these ancient grasses between two flat stones yields coarse meal that can be mixed with water and roasted in embers. This labor-intensive process demands teamwork. One person grinds, another fans away chaff, and a third stokes the fire to bake the simple flatbread. Occasionally, you come across plants with both food and medicine uses. Dandelion greens that cleanse the liver, plantain leaves to soothe wounds, or willow bark brewed into a bitter tea that eases fevers. These discoveries underscore a deeper knowledge. Survival isn't just about filling your stomach, but about keeping the body healthy enough to keep foraging and hunting tomorrow. By late afternoon, your gathering basket is half full of roots, leaves, berries, and nuts. You've avoided the deceptive calls of poisonous hemlock and the bitter tang of unprocessed acorns. As you head back to camp, you brush aside excited chatter, everyone proud of their haul but wary of mistakes. Each edible plant you carry home represents hours of risk and effort. At camp, the roots and nuts will be processed over fire, the berries dried or mixed with animal fat into a simple cake, and the leafy greens lightly wilted on hot stones. Tonight's meal won't be lavish, but it will sustain your group through the chill of night. And tomorrow, you'll resume this cycle, tracking, foraging, and learning. Because in this prehistoric world, intelligence and prudence in gathering the right plants marked the line between hunger and survival. As twilight approaches and the foraging baskets empty, your band turns its full attention to hunting, the primary source of protein and fat that keeps your muscles strong and your brain sharp. Hunting is dangerous work, demanding skill, patience, and cooperation. You rely on simple but effective tools, sharpened stone-tipped spears, wooden clubs, and snares crafted from animal sinew or plant fibers. Before dawn, you gather near the edge of the campfire's glow. Elder hunters inspect their weapons. They flake fresh edges on spearheads, check bindings for loose fibers, and oil wooden shafts with animal fat to prevent splintering. You carry a spear over your shoulder, flint knife strapped to your belt, and a shallow woven basket for any small game you might catch. The air is crisp, each breath visible in the cool morning light. Your group moves silently, spreading out in a loose semicircle to encircle a small clearing where deer tracks frequently appear. You fan out slowly, hands brushing low branches aside, eyes scanning broken twigs or fresh droppings. Every rustle of grass or snapping of a twig snaps your attention to that spot. In this world, noise and haste mean wasted opportunity, or a startled animal turning into a predator. At the center of the semicircle, two hunters lie in wait, partly concealed behind moss-covered logs. Their job is crucial. If they can force the deer toward the perimeter, the other hunters will have clear lines for a successful spear throw. A signal, a whispered word, or a raised arm sets the plan in motion. The flank hunters move in, pushing through the brush, while the hidden pair readies their spears at chest height, muscles coiled like loaded springs. A doe steps into the clearing, delicate hooves brushing damp earth. The hidden hunters hold their breath. The flankers close in, keeping just outside the doe's peripheral vision. Then comes the signal, a soft whistle, too subtle to startle the deer. The flankers freeze, and the doe turns, sensing movement. It bolts right toward you. Your spear arcs through the air, point aimed at her shoulder. You hear a sharp thud as flint chops into sinew. The doe stumbles but doesn't fall. Another hunter nearby steps forward with a club and strikes a precise blow to the back of her skull. Silence returns. You approach the fallen animal, heart pounding in your throat. Gathering around, you offer a brief moment of respect before beginning the harvest. Every part of the doe has value. Meat for today's meal, hides for clothing and shelter, sinew for future bindings, and bone for tools or ornamentation. Even the stomach isn't wasted. Its lining can hold water or be dried and used as a container. When larger prey is scarce, you shift focus to smaller animals, rabbits, birds, and fish. Spring snaring season brings you to thickets where rabbits nibble tender shoots. You set simple noose traps near known runs, small paths rabbits use to travel between feeding and hiding spots. You tie flexible branches into a spring mechanism. When the rabbit tugs on the bait, the noose tightens and lifts it gently off the ground. Checking snares at midday is a quiet thrill. Sometimes you find a thrashing rabbit, its life ending quickly before you untie the trap. Fishing offers a different set of skills. At the river's bend, you craft a weir, lining stones in a V-shape pointing downstream. As fish swim against the current, they funnel into the narrow opening where you stand ready with spears. Alternatively, you use a long bone fashioned into a hook, baited with insects or small bits of meat. When a fish bites, you feel a sharp tug on the line. You reel it in carefully, celebrating each catch that means extra protein for your camp. Tracking larger animals, like bison or elk, requires reading subtle signs. Fresh dung, paw prints pressed into soft mud, broken branches where the herd passed. You follow these trails for hours, moving upwind to keep your scent from alerting the herd. A single misstep, a branch breaking loudly, can send the animals fleeing. But when the herd inadvertently passes through a narrow valley, that's your moment. Hidden behind rocks and tamarack trees, you and your fellow hunters launch spears simultaneously, each aimed for vital organs. This communal hunt can yield dozens of pounds of meat, enough to last your band days or even weeks. Hunting isn't always about brute force. Sometimes it's a test of patience and knowledge. You know that deer favor certain salt licks and come to drink at the same watering holes. You crouch motionless for hours near these spots, blending into the landscape until the deer approach within easy spear range. At night, you follow tracks by torchlight, observing where they sleep and rest, then plan a dawn ambush. Risk is ever present. A wounded animal can become a furious threat. A misjudged spear throw might leave a boar enraged, charging straight at you with deadly tusks. So your group always carries shields made from woven reeds and bark, and you wear simple leather padding to absorb blows. Training in mock battles with wooden poles ensures you remain calm when real danger erupts. After a successful hunt, the group returns to camp before dusk. The deer, rabbit, or fish is carefully butchered. Everyone helps. Some hold meat steady, others scrape hides clean, and children collect discarded bones. Smokehouses, simple frames draped with animal hides, dry cuts of meat over low fires, preserving them for later. Gilting the fat into tallow provides fuel for lamps that extend waking hours into the dark. Tonight, as the fire crackles and you gnaw on roasted venison, you feel a surge of satisfaction. Hunting underpins your society. It requires strategy, cooperation, and respect for the animals whose lives sustain your own. The tools you wield, spears, snares, traps, are extensions of your ingenuity. Each successful hunt is a testament to your skill and the lessons passed down through countless generations. And though starvation looms ever close on a bad day, each dawn brings another chance. Another hunt, another opportunity to conquer the wilderness. In the world of your ancestors, mastering the art of the hunt meant more than filling empty bellies. It meant carving out a place for humanity in a wild, indifferent world. When the hunt is successful and the gathered roots and berries are mixed with roasted meat, the true strength of your band reveals itself through social bonds and sharing rituals. In this small community, cooperation isn't optional, it's essential. Every member, from the youngest child to the eldest elder, depends on the group for survival, and the way you distribute food maintains both physical health and social harmony. After butchering and cooking, the group assembles around the dying embers of the communal fire. The hunter who felled the animal, often the most skilled or the bravest, receives the first cut, but only a taste. This honor acknowledges their effort and skill, reinforcing prestige without undermining unity. Next, the eldest elders are served their portions, a mark of respect for their wisdom and leadership. Their role isn't merely symbolic. Elders guide the band in choosing campsites, interpreting seasonal markers, and passing down crucial knowledge about edible plants and dangerous terrain. Children and adolescents sit closest to the fire, where adults can keep a watchful eye. They receive small portions of soft, easily chewed meat and carefully prepared roots. This controlled distribution ensures that even the youngest have enough calories to grow strong, while learning the customs of respect and gratitude. As they eat, adults narrate stories, how the first spear was made, tales of a legendary hunt, or the origin of a hidden berry grove. These stories serve as both entertainment and instruction, embedding crucial survival lessons in memorable narratives. Men and women of prime age, hunters, gatherers, toolmakers, receive their rations next. Their portions are larger, reflecting both their higher caloric needs and their ongoing work responsibilities. For them, meat is precious, protein for muscle repair, and fat for sustaining energy during long treks. Roots and nuts fill in the gaps, slowing digestion so that hunger doesn't return too quickly. No one leaves the fire until every member has received their share. If food is exceptionally scarce, the group may resort to portioning out tiny scraps to ensure no one is completely left empty-handed. Refusing a share is unthinkable. Accepting food is a communal contract, affirming your commitment to the group and your willingness to contribute in your own way. After the meal, a ritual often follows, a shared sip of herbal tea brewed from yarrow or mint leaves. This isn't just for digestion. It's a symbolic act that seals the group's bond for another day. The steam rising from the clay bowl carries the scent of earth and memory, reminding everyone of their collective identity and shared fate. When disputes arise, over a broken tool, a misunderstanding, or jealousy over a prized spear, elders call a fire council. Members sit in a circle, passing a smooth river stone to speak. Holding the stone grants you the right to voice grievances without interruption. Once grievances are aired, the stone moves to the next person. This ritual ensures that conflicts don't fester, preserving the group's cohesion. Often, after the council, the group will share a small portion of dried fruit or nut paste as a peace offering. In times of abundance, after a particularly bountiful hunt or a bumper crop of nuts, celebrations mark the occasion. The group may hold a moonlight feast, roasting fish on spits and dancing around the fire. These festivals reinforce social bonds, allowing everyone to relax into joy before returning to the daily struggle for sustenance. Through these sharing rituals and social customs, your band transforms the harsh reality of scarcity into a framework of mutual care. Every shared meal becomes an act of solidarity, a reminder that survival isn't just about individual strength. It's about the ties that bind you together. When you finally lie down on your bed of skins that night, your hunger eased by more than just food, you understand that community is your greatest safeguard against starvation. Once the day's foraging and hunting yield their spoils, transforming raw ingredients into edible meals becomes its own art, one honed over countless generations. At the heart of your camp sits the fire pit, a ring of stones cradling glowing embers. You build your cooking setup around this pit, using what nature offers. Flat stones heated by the embers serve as griddles for roasting roots and flatbreads, while clay vessels, fashioned from riverbank mud and sun-dried until hard, hold water and stews. To boil tough roots or to tenderize meat, you employ the hot stone method. First, you select river stones that haven't cracked from moisture. Using tongs made from bent wood or woven reeds, you slide these stones into a shallow pit lined with animal hides and filled with water. As each stone sizzles and hisses, it transfers heat evenly, bringing the liquid to a rolling boil without cracking the vessel. Into this bubbling water go strips of meat, hunks of marrow-filled bone, or chunks of acorn flour mixed into a porridge. The steam carries the aroma of savory broth, and by the time the ingredients soften, they've released nutrients that raw eating can't unlock. For dry roasting, ideal for nuts, seeds, and small game, you arrange sticks or a simple wooden rack just above the embers. You turn each piece carefully. Chestnuts crackle and open, walnuts pop their shells, and small birds sizzle until their skin crisps. This method concentrates flavor and reduces moisture, making roasted items easier to store and less likely to spoil. Children gather at the edge of the fire, watching for the first pop that signals a nut is perfectly done. Smoking is another key preservation technique. You hang strips of meat or clusters of fish from crossbeams woven of branches above a low, smoky fire made from green wood. The gentle smoke infuses proteins with antibacterial compounds, slowing decay for days or even weeks. As the haze drifts through the camp, it masks stronger odors, deterring insects and predators alike. A bundle of dried herbs, like sage or sweetgrass, added to the smoke infuses the meat with subtle flavors and further antiseptic properties. Flatbreads and cakes of grain or nut flour are cooked on hot stones or directly on the embers. Mixing ground acorn meal or crushed barley with water and a pinch of wild honey, you form a thick dough on a wooden board. Pressing it into a flat shape, you slide it onto a stone heated in the fire, turning it once or twice until golden brown. These cakes are dense and filling, eaten slowly to release energy over many hours. Fermentation, though riskier, offers another way to preserve and enhance flavors. Berries or pounded roots are packed into hollowed logs or animal stomachs and sealed with waxy resin. Stored beneath the earth or in cool, shaded areas, they ferment over days, developing tangy, probiotic-rich sides that ease digestion. Though some batches spoil, the successful ones become prized treats, energy-dense morsels that bring welcome variety to the diet. Finally, every cooking session is followed by careful cleanup. Ashes from the fire are allowed to cool, then swept aside to expose fresh stones. Clay pots are wiped with leaves to remove grease, and sharp flakes of flint are used to scrape away stubborn residue. This ritual maintains hygiene, crucial in a world where spoiled food can spell disaster, and readies the camp for the next day's arduous quest for sustenance. Through these cooking methods, boiling, roasting, smoking, baking, and fermenting, your ancestors turned the bare essentials of the wild into meals that fueled their bodies and bonded their community. Each technique reflects ingenuity born of necessity, proving that even in the harshest environments, human creativity could transform survival into a shared, comforting ritual. As night fully descends and the embers die down to glowing coals, you lie back on your bed of animal skins and reflect on the day's journey. From dawn's first light, when you stepped into the wilderness with nothing but a spear, a woven pouch, and ancestral knowledge, to the evening's shared meal around the fire, Every moment hinged on skills passed down across countless generations. You hunted, you foraged, you prepared food with methods honed by trial and error, and you reinforced social bonds through ritual and respect. In this ancient world, survival was never guaranteed. A missed spear throw, a misidentified plant, or a fractured tool could mean a day or a life lost to hunger. Yet through cooperation, innovation, and an intimate understanding of the environment, your band persevered. You learned where to find roots that fill the belly but not poison it, how to trap rabbits without chasing them off, and how to turn raw grains into sustaining cakes. You discovered that leadership, fairness in sharing, and open communication around the fire council were as crucial as a sharp spear tip. Tonight's meager stew and roasted roots symbolize more than mere nourishment. They represent resilience. Each bite carries the weight of ancestors who survived ice ages, droughts, and predators, simply by observing nature and working together. The stars overhead, brighter than any firelight, connect you to those who stared up at the same sky millennia ago, pondering where the next meal would come from. As you drift into sleep, you carry with you the hard-earned wisdom that nature is both generous and unforgiving. Hunger may gnaw at you again with tomorrow's dawn, but you also know that with the right knowledge of plants, tools, hunting grounds, and human bonds, you have a fighting chance. In the modern world, we eat with ease and abundance, often forgetting how every morsel we consume once demanded effort, knowledge, and cooperation. So next time you open your fridge or place an order, remember the cave dweller's world, a place where dinner wasn't guaranteed, where ingenuity turned wild roots into porridge, and where the crackle of a campfire was the anchor of community. In honoring those ancient struggles, we deepen our appreciation for the meals we enjoy today and the bonds that make sharing them meaningful. Sleep well, dear listener, and dream of embers glowing under a starlit sky, knowing that the survival of your ancestors runs through your veins.